Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. This is From Left to Right USA. I am the captain, and the topic for this video, a mass shooting in downtown Louisville at Old National Bank, where at least 4 are confirmed deceased and at least 8 others injured. Now, of the 4 deceased, that does include the alleged shooter. The governor there in Kentucky, Andy Beshear, did release a statement earlier. He said that he knows basically everyone at that branch. And unfortunately, 2 of the deceased he knows personally, and at least one other person that was injured he knows personally. This is another senseless act of violence. It's fluid, so they are actively investigating to find out the motive and even release the name of the perpetrator. But I do want to bring up an article from Louisville that kind of gives us a little background about Louisville, Kentucky. We all know about Breonna Davis. That case came out of Louisville a couple years back. And there have been a lot of other cases that you probably have never heard of, right? But anytime there's a mass shooting event, there's usually the gun control advocates that come out in full force and talk about how there's no need for guns to be in society, right? Except the law-abiding citizens are 99.9% of the time not the ones committing these violent shootings. It's usually those who get the guns illegally, right? Or those who already have a rap sheet, right? They got misdemeanors, they have felonies already. A lot of them have violence crimes on their record. And that doesn't really get talked about enough, in my opinion. Now, I'm gonna bring up this article. I think it gives some great info, great insight into the violence there in Louisville, Kentucky. Okay, so and this is from WLKY.com, which is a local news station there in Kentucky. And this is the headline says 2022 sees decrease in Louisville homicide rate, but still ranks 3rd highest in city's history. Now, if you come down, it says right here there were a total of 160 lives lost to homicides in Louisville 2022. And along with more than 400 people injured by gun violence. Now it says deadly shootings were down 8% in 2022 from 2021. So 2021 had more homicides. The city's worst year for homicides. All right, 2021. Non-fatal shootings were down 33%. All right, so they're having a lot of violence in Louisville. Now, come down further. It says in the last 3 years combined since the start of the pandemic in 2020, there have been more than 500 lives lost to homicidal violence. And this is according to 2X's research. And additionally, more than 1,500 people were in Louisville suffered from being wounded by gunfire at the same time frame, so that same 3-year period since 2020. And I think that this is, let me come back full screen. I think that this is important to know and understand before jumping to the mass shooting events and isolating those and trying to generalize them to being the majority of the violence, right, in these cities. That's not the case. The normal shooting isn't a person going into a bank and committing mass homicide. It's not a student at school going to a school and committing mass homicide. That's not the norm. Does it happen? Yes. Does it happen more than it should? Yes. But when we look at stats and we look at the reality, that's not the majority of what we see happening. What we see actually happening more often is these domestic violence type situations where there's, you know, an intended target and other people get hit as casualties, right? Or there's a drug deal where you have two sides that are in conflict and there's a shooting where multiple people get hit. Also, gang violence, you see it in drive-bys, same thing. What happens is a lot of times these situations get isolated and may just be the norm, right? The Old National Bank type situation, right? Or these school shootings, or theater shooting. Those are anomalies, right? But I think it's irresponsible to look at gun violence and say that we should ban guns or we should have like red flag laws, and that's going above and beyond what's really needed. Because let's just look at what we have in law already, right? Let's just enforce that, or let's be harder, stricter on individuals who have felonies, who have shown us that they are prone to violence, who commit violence and do it again and again and again because they keep getting released to do it again, right? Let's look at those situations. In Louisville, you have 1,500 people that have been shot by gun violence over 3 years. That's not a person who's angry about politics or who's full of racial hate. Those 1,500 shootings are not from those type of events. No, they're from high school fights that lead to young people going and shooting one another. They're from gang violence. They're from drug dealing. They're from domestic violence situations. That's what the majority of those shootings are from. And that's where we need to put the focus instead of in other areas where it is not needed. That's my 2 cents. I just kind of really wanted to share this with you all, so you kind of get a full picture of what you're being told versus what reality is and where our efforts should be put in. But I appreciate y'all for watching. This is From Left to Right USA. I am the captain. Go down below, comment, like this video, share this video, and of course, subscribe. I appreciate y'all. Till next time, I'm gone.